Hold up.
Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdut's Newsstand, and we are back on Bad Ideas with Bianca, and today we are going to talk about Arcane Part 2. As I said in my last video, this was the most requested show I had ever gotten, so I went into it like, yeah, this is gonna be great! Well, we're gonna talk about it. How are you today, Bianca?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Oh, pretty good. I just need more coffee and heat. That's my small request. So
that's a big request for me.
it's winter should be illegal. Totally. So Arcane Part 2, it's episodes 4, 5, and 6. And I watched them all back to back.
Oh, you did?
I have issues. First off, there's part of the story that I don't care about. Like, I don't care about the Jace character at all. Going right into, like, my issues with this, he's kind of a douche. And, like, what is his point in this story?
Magic, adding magic to science and all that stuff. That's
Boring.
It.
I know, okay. I want to say the good before we get into anything, because I don't want to be too negative, but there's going to be some negativity here. It is beautiful. Like, I said this last episode, but when it comes to this, it almost got, like, the animation gets better every single episode. You don't get sometimes, like, when you go through a couple episodes, it'll get a little lazy here or there, or there'll be a hand that'll look weird, or this is pure perfection. Like, the way it feels like a moving comic book.
Yeah.
I don't know how much this costs to make, or if this is much more expensive than, typical art style that we get from DC animation, but they need to step up their game. This, like, this made me look at animation in a whole new light. Like, especially the scene I really thought was kind of perfection, not writing wise, but animation wise, was that last scene where we see Jinx going a little bit nuts. That was so cool. The way you saw the ghost on her back, and, like, everything about that animation was so good.
The saliva too.
Oh my god. At least we didn't get any more ugly crying. I hated
that. Was the best though.
So what did you think overall? Overall, like, was this something you would recommend? Before we get into specifics?
Yeah, this is something definitely that I recommend. It's more up to my style, but it honestly doesn't really matter. No matter who I recommend stuff to, they'll never watch it anyway.
Yeah, I would say I would recommend it also. I do have a few issues with it. It's very tropey to me. Like, we get the journey from Violet, and Powder. I guess she goes by Jinx now. I love that Jinx name though. It's so perfect for her.
It is. I love it.
It's so good. But, like, we get the typical, I'm the I guess protector of my sister, and then she goes to jail and she becomes, like, this buff Amazonian lesbian. Like, it feels very tropey to me. And then we get the crazy Harley Quinn character, and we get the Joker that she's with. Like,
oh my gosh, I never got that correlation, and now I do.
That's what I mean by tropey. It feels like, and I get it, this is more for people that are into League of Legends. This is their lore, right? But, like,
when's the gorilla coming?
Wait, is there a gorilla in League of Legends?
I remember, like, every time there's, like, a League of Legends, I could have sworn that there was a gorilla, and he's voiced by the guy who plays Itachi Uchiha. And I'm like, yo, is this gorilla gonna be in this series? Probably not, though.
Well, the only one I remember is Echo. And I haven't seen that character. The only thing I can think of is it may be the people that are on, like, those flying surfboards.
Oh,
It may be that. I don't know. That's the only character I even really knew from League of Legends. But like, it felt very like
tropey.
Yes, and Violet was very much like a typical. I'm just gonna say it. She was a very typical Mary Sue character. Like she was beating up somebody with a mechanical arm, like beating their fucking ass. Like that girl's got that venom stuff in her. How is
well,
she?
Now she does.
So, well, yeah, that's true. That's how they healed her. But like, how is she beating this woman's butt when? Yeah, I get it. She's in jail. She's super tough from getting beat up in jail. But like, I don't know.
We justify it. We justify it by saying, "Oh, they're just practicing. They're practicing. They're practicing. They're practicing. There's tons and tons of practicing." Or maybe she practiced from beating up people in jail.
And getting beat up, apparently. They sent, like people to her jail cell to get beat her up? Like, that's fucking terrible. Like, who does that kind of shit? That's awful. Was that girl that had the arm missing? Was that the enforcer from the first 3 episodes?
You thought that too? No.
Yeah.
Okay, so she was with Silco and the blonde-haired guy who turns into Bane or what, or some sort of monster.
They have even venom for Bane. There you go.
Yeah. So she was on the evil team. I thought the same thing because they looked exactly alike, and so I had to look it up. I'm like, okay, no, this is an entirely different person, especially because the one who's an enforcer, she has an accent. She has like a pretty thick accent, and this one didn't really have an accent.
Well, even the one character, I forget his name, the main sheriff, he talks about somebody that had died, and I'm like, she didn't die, she's in the underworld. Like, okay, that makes a lot more sense now. So she actually did die during that last scene.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think? Let's talk about the Jace storyline first. When it comes to, I still really love Mel's design. She's probably the most beautiful character in this. She looks really cool, but she's clearly using him. Like, is that just me, or does it seem like that is definitely power struggle thing there?
No, that's what I got. I'm like, oh, she's gonna use him to like advance whatever she finds interesting, and let's see how it goes. But they don't. I mean, the Violet powder stuff is more interesting, so they should just show them a little bit more than the Mel Jace stuff. But then I'm not interested in the Mel Jace stuff. I'm looking at them and I'm like, you guys kiss like 2 marshmallows.
They kiss, and I'm like, okay, well, I thought this Jace character was into Caitlyn. Clearly she wasn't into him. But that's kind of what it felt like. And then they go like to the bedroom. I'm like, whoa, where they're going there. Like, I thought this was a kids show, but okay. All right.
I thought so too.
I was like, okay. All right. We are getting a weird sex scene. And I guess it was done pretty well. Like, they didn't show anything, but I actually, out of all those characters from is it called Topside?
I think so.
The only one I really have any like investment in is Victor, and that's because I feel really bad for him.
I thought he was British, but I think he's like Russian, especially since his name Victor has a K on it.
Well, like he goes and when they show his, when he's younger, and I was shocked at the animation again. To their credit, like you could tell that was a little Victor. Like it looks so good. But when he finds that other person, like I was so weirded out. Okay.
Yeah.
A little kid, 8 years old, walks up to a grown adult and they're like, we can be loners together.
I was like, oh, what?
I was like, run. That is a pedophile. Run.
Stranger danger.
I know. I guess in, this community that everything's perfect. But he's like, that kind, well, I don't know what it is. It looks like a cross between an axolotl and a toothless, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
It's super cute, but it's like he keeps saying the mutation must live on, and now Victor's like, I get it. I'm glad he does because I don't.
It's possible. I have a theory that it's possible that he may experiment on himself to
Uh-huh.
live longer. I'm just afraid that it might be like how that oxalato mutant is. And I'm just like, no, I don't
Oh,
want you
you
to be
might
like
be right.
that.
I wonder if after we watch the last episodes, I'm gonna have to look it up because I don't want to do it now because it'll be spoilers. But I wonder if
Exactly.
in the game he's a character like that, like a brew or something. That's a
I feel
good
so sad
theory.
for him.
I know.
Oh,
I feel really.
we didn't talk about the what is he? Like a principal, a teacher or whatever? That little short, cute, adorable mustache creature.
I don't know what his name is. I just kept calling him Puppy.
Hemdall or something like that.
Yeah,
And his puppy looks like him too.
I know, it's so cute. He's the only one that kind of makes sense in that. He's seen it. He knows what's gonna happen. He knows it's gonna go bad, and they don't care. They're just like, we can help now. And I get their intentions are good, but the road to hell was paved with good intentions. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I mean, he's like over 100 years old.
I thought he said over 300.
That's why I said over 100 because I'm like, I don't remember his exact age.
Yeah.
So I'm still right. I'm like, why he has wisdom. Why would you delete that wisdom from your council?
Yeah, that was really dumb. And
Selfish.
Everybody wanted him off.
I was like, you turds. You like the Mel when talking to Jace, she has said that a lot of these people have like ulterior motives. So it's possible that once he's out, they can just do whatever they want.
Well, even when they put Jace on the chair, like, clearly it was something brand new. And then he starts bringing all this security and everybody's like hating on him. Like, he's trying to do the right thing in the beginning, but it takes him 2 seconds to turn his back on the right thing.
I know.
Like,
so fast.
Like, what was that, at a play? And she's like, well, you've made enemies and blah, blah, blah. And then like 2 seconds later, he's like, if you're on our team, we will do this and that. Like, dude, corruption I get corruption happens, but that quick? Like,
I know.
He clearly wasn't like an integral person to begin with if you can go that quick.
Yeah.
So what did you think of Caitlyn? Because she kind of starts in that storyline and then flips over.
It's kind of sad that everybody was pretty mean to her because she comes from a rich family.
I know. I felt bad for her. Like, she could have probably done anything with her life and she wanted to be an enforcer. And then everyone just treated her like shit, even though, like, I don't know. Something had happened that I don't know if they explained why she was put on a different post. Was it because of her mom or was somebody killed?
It's because they said that, I wanted to be an enforcer, see the world, blah, blah, blah. But her parents, I think, were just so worried about her safety. So now, like, she's in charge of just guarding her parents, guarding the tent.
I mean, kind of a easy job, but it's clearly not what she wants, right? Like, she wants to do more. And then we see, like, right in the beginning, when they're on that blimp, I thought that was kind of cool because if you remember in the first 3 episodes, it may have been the first episode when she was still powder, she's like, I'm going to ride on one of those one day. And then in the first episode, we see her riding on one of those. I thought that was kind of a cool callback, at least.
Was it one of those flat boards?
No, one of those like blimps in the sky.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, she was like, I'm gonna ride on one. And we see her on one, and that's where we first meet this character. And the whole time, like, this is gonna be with the people with a mask on. I'm like, this is gonna every single one. I'm like, this is gonna be Violet. This is gonna be Violet. This is gonna be Violet. Like, I just kept thinking. And she's clearly missing her sister and haunted by what happened.
Yeah,
but
the
like
PTSD, and I love how she has like the dolls. She made dolls to resemble.
I know, it's so good.
Yeah,
in her like room. You see the little glasses, and I think that was like a good way to show what she's going through. So we gotta go into the weird. Is she sleeping with Silco?
She's
like,
not.
She's not. Okay.
So apparently, during that time that episode where we first see him invite her into the office, I was getting a snack, and so I'm listening, but I'm not looking, and so I come back and she's on his lap, and I'm like, okay, what did I miss? Wait, what's going on? And then she injects something into his eye. And then I asked my cousin who finally finished it. I'm like, okay, so what's the deal with those two? This isn't like some sort of pedophilic whatever, right? And he's like, what? Oh, no. So we were talking, and I finally figured it out. I believe she has some sort of mental illness where she's extremely dependent. She needs to depend on somebody, and
right.
When I saw her as a kid in the first 3 episodes, I'm like, okay, I can tell you're acting like a kid, like an 11-year-old, but there's something else about you that I'm not putting my finger on. And as soon as that 4th episode that I watched, I found out what it was. The moment you see her, she acts extremely childlike. That child is still part of her. So when she's acting that way towards Silco, it's something that she wants to depend on, like not a father, but like it's
mentor.
How she acts is very innocent, and he doesn't see her that way. He just depends greatly on her.
That makes more sense. It was very weird. I'm like, where are we? Like, she's clearly older, but it's a weird like power struggle because she was there since she was a kid. So I'm like, no. But her design is phenomenal.
I love her design so much. I didn't expect that kind of weapon too.
Well, like her hair, like I love everything about her design. Violet's design, meh, it's okay. Her design,
the Jinx's design is amazing.
Jinx's design is like perfection for that type of character. Her hair, even like you even get a little bit of side boob every once in a while.
Yeah,
and it's everything about her design is so cute. The way she moves, I really like how she's kind of more like slinky. You know what I mean? Like
she's very quick.
Yes, and she's very agile. And I really like that.
It is. I love it. I also saw this part where like she's having one of her moments with experiments or like that she makes and stuff, and then her hair, one of her braids twirls around her arm, and I'm like, whoa, your hair can do that too. It's just like what's it called? Not mandible, malleable, something malleable. Like that. I'm pretty sure it starts with an M. Malleable. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's just so flexible. I should have just said that.
It's so pretty. It is. I love the design, but like we see her blow up that area where Caitlyn's at. And there's a bunch of death there. And she gets one of those gems. I have no idea what they're going to do with these gems. Like, we haven't really got a good explanation besides they blow up. Like, okay. But then we get to see Caitlyn and she goes to the jail and she brings out Vi. What did you think of Violet as a character, or like, her design also?
Her design's simple.
Yeah, like
nothing great about it.
It's very like 2022, 21. Like, it's very like head shave, butch, manly looking. Like, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. It's very Tila. That's what it is in a way, but much better graphics.
I also got Tila from that.
Okay, at least I'm not the only one. Like, the voice acting is much better. But it was very much so Tila vibes. And then she like starts hitting on Caitlyn, like really quickly.
I don't know. Well, this escalated quickly.
I know. She's like, it's 'cause you're hot. Like, Okay, well, they just wanted to. I don't know if maybe that was put in there to make us know that she was into women, but okay. I didn't like her character. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like her character nearly very much at all. She's
A-hole.
she's just the typical 2021 woman. And there is one thing that really bugs me about this show, and I will say it. It is very modern day. Yes, I get that. But it is all strong women. Everybody, all the women can do basically everything very well. I mean, of course, we see falling and stabbing and stuff like that within the story. But then without Vander there's no good men. And the only men that are in this story are either evil or very easily corrupted. And it's like,
Hemdall
I
is
feel
only
like
the
I've seen this
best
story.
one.
What's that?
Hemdall is the best one.
He really is. And he's a little puppy. Like, I feel like this story has been told so many times in a different fashion. It wasn't super interesting to me. Like, besides the animation, it just didn't. Maybe the last part will save it. I will say that. But like,
so you know it's gonna end in a cliffhanger, and to like play the game to find out. I'm just like,
that'll be horrible. Are they doing anything for like a season 2 or anything?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of.
Well, then let's hope it doesn't end in a cliffhanger. But they have this like I don't know. It's just I was kind of disappointed, I'm not gonna lie, because there was so much hype around it. And it felt even more modern day than stuff like I know people are gonna hate it in the comment section, but even stuff like Master of the Universe. Like, it felt very derivative of tropes I've read over and over and over again. Now, I will say that final scene where she puts the blue marker up in the air, that gas or whatever it is, that was a badass scene. That was really cool.
That was beautiful.
Like, the way they did, like, Jinx, is she fucking crazy?
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, she has some sort of mental problems. Like, that's what makes it a lot easier. Like, I'm like, okay, she has a mental illness. Like, she's going through stuff. She also is going through trauma and PTSD because she blames herself for what happened, and just like dependency.
Right. And I understand that, but like, I think they're going to take it a lot further. I don't think there is any reconciliation coming for her and her sister. I really don't.
I don't know yet.
I just don't see it in the cards. I think they're going to try to, like, that's going to be the twist. Like, everybody thinks they're going to be back together and sisters, but the twist is going to be Jinx is really fucking crazy and kills her sister or something like that. Like,
maybe.
I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, like, this is
when she was like being baptized in that really toxic river.
I thought he was gonna kiss her. The whole time I was cringing.
No, as soon as I saw them in the water, I'm like, okay, they're gonna baptize it so she can renew herself. And I was like, to have her forget about her sister, no, that's not gonna work. As soon as her sister comes on the scene, she's gonna like freak out. And that's what I was right. That's what she did. She exactly did that. So she obviously still cares very much about her sister. She seemed really sad that he was gone. She was gone, like taken away. So
she like hung that lady up in the office. Like,
well, she was being a turd.
If you're mean, you go. Yeah, she was though. But and then left like the message. I think it said, "You lie." Oh
yeah, she was told that her sister was dead.
Yes, there was one part that was two parts that were so dumb, and I gotta mention it. In the explosion scene, I think it's the first episode where they're on the airship, right?
Mhm.
And Jinx is down like in the airship in the cargo bin.
Mhm.
They literally put a fucking swing in a cargo ship so it could say boom. And it was a swing like from a playground. Why would that be there? Is there any reasonable explanation?
I didn't notice it until you said it. I was just looking at it like, oh, it's a swing. Oh, by the way, when I said something about a gorilla in League of Legends, that was my mistake. That's Overwatch.
Oh yeah, I did know there was one in Overwatch. I did know that.
So that's my bad. I was confusing the two this entire time. I'm like,
Oh
there's
no.
that one character, and I'm like, oh no, that's Overwatch, not League of Legends.
Overwatch
Oh
is
no.
fun. I like Overwatch.
I wonder if it's similar.
I don't know. I think League of Legends, I'm not sure, but I think it's more like of I don't know, like magic. Maybe not. I don't know.
Science. Oh, so what was that other thing that you were irritated about?
They had literally Imagine Dragons in the background.
Oh yeah, there were characters. Apparently, I was trying to look up that song on YouTube, and apparently they have a full music video with the cartoon versions of themselves.
Oh my god, I love Imagine Dragons. Don't get me wrong, I love Imagine Dragons. But it was like there was so much cringe in a row, and I seen that, and I'm just like, fuck, what the fuck? Like,
I loved it. I'm like, yeah, let's go. You're in cartoon form. I don't know what you guys look like, but I'm gonna assume you guys look like this.
No, they did a good job rendering them. Yeah, they did a really good job. But like, there was just so much in a row that I noticed that was so weird. And then that came up, and I'm like, nope, we're not playing this game. I am cringing. Like, it is a cool little Easter egg, but it was just like they were just at that brothel, and she was just like, "You're hot." Like, I just
cupcake.
And then she went into the room with the old troll lady with saggy tits.
That little goblin, right?
Yeah.
Oh
it was
my
like
gosh.
one thing after another, and I seen that, I'm like, no, I can't take the cringe. I just can't take it. Maybe it's just me. Maybe and Imagine Dragons is probably like one of my top 10 bands right now. But like, I love the song. I love the intro. I never skip it because it's so good.
But I'm glad it's in the middle, because if it's in the beginning, then Netflix is just gonna automatically skip it. So I'm like, yeah, it's in the middle, so that means nothing can be skipped.
Netflix does that? I didn't know that.
Yeah, like when I'm watching a show, when I'm watching an anime, they're like, so how about we skip the opening? And I'm like, no, but I don't want you to. And so I have to like manually go back and do it myself. And
but
I'm
like that. It was just, there were so many weird parts. I really hope this third part can take it and tie everything together and bring all these storylines closer to I don't know how they're gonna do it in 3 episodes, because there's so much going on that hasn't been revealed. Like, where is Silco going now? Like, is he gonna seek revenge?
I loved his villain moment where he's just like beating up on his one subordinate, and he's beating him up so badly, and it's just quietness, and I'm like, yeah, show your evilness. Love it.
I do love how he's straight up evil. There's no like, you know how sometimes villains can be really sympathetic and you understand. No, this guy is just straight up evil, and we see that. But like, I don't know. I really hope they can do something with this third part, because the animation alone is worth watching the show. But it is so like, besides saying it's so modern day, it is, the writing is the issue to me. The writing is very vindicative of so many other series that I've seen before. Like, you've got Batman in there, you've got Bane, you've got Harley Quinn, and everything. And it's not irritating. It's just bad writing, in my opinion.
It probably is. I'm just enjoying it right now.
Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying. It's not that I'm not enjoying it. It's
no. It's just like, Yeah, you go.
No. I just mean like I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying it, and I don't want to come off like I'm being super hard on it. But it's nothing original to me. It feels very much like they just took plotline from this and plotline from that, and hey, we need something that can, make people go crazy. So let's take Venom from Bane. Let's take this. It just feels very vindicative of stuff that I've been reading for years, and I was expecting something new. I guess maybe my expectations were a little high for it, but that could be it, because everybody was talking about this. Everybody was talking about how good this was. And I'm like, going over it and I'm looking at it, I'm like, I can't believe people are talking about, like, the animation's there, but like the storylines, I'm like, why? I'm really shocked that we're not getting like the hate bait channels calling this SJW and oh my god, the person with blue hair, and I'm surprised. And it's universally loved. And I'm like, what? I want to like this. I want to. I really do.
I'm sorry, Tristan.
We need to find something good. Because we did Catwoman and now this. We need to find something like that we know we're gonna love next. Next time is the last 3, but I mean after that.
I will say that there is one thing that I've noticed in this show, and that's so there's a lot of representation in this show.
Really, they do a good job about it.
I'm seeing Black people, I'm seeing Asian people, and then I have no idea what the Hispanic Latinos look like. Every time I'm seeing a brown person, they're ambiguous brown.
Right.
Like one of the women, like from the evil team, the one who didn't like Jinx. I'm like, oh, she's brown, but her name is Seveka. Sevika. And I'm like, what kind of name is that? I'm like, where is that name from? And then I'm like, the other one's like Apothecary or something like that. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not seeing any Hispanic Latino names, and I have no idea what the Hispanic Latinos look like. And then when Vi is speaking to the goblin woman in the prostitute house or whatever, she's like, okay, I'll have Miguel help you. And I'm like, shoot, we got a Miguel? Let me see what Miguel looks like. We don't see a Miguel.
No.
We're just told that there is a Miguel. And I was telling my cousin this, and he's like, they just want to say, oh, hey, we do exist, but, we don't know what they were going to look like. We have word of mouth. And I'm like, dang it. I'm like, I want to see what he looks like so I can see, like, if I see another character who just happens to be brown, I'm like, okay, so you're that or you're that. Because there's like more than one different type of brown person.
Right.
And that's what makes it so hard. But when like the white people are beautiful, the Black people are beautiful, the Asian people are beautiful too, and I'm just like, I just need a character. I just need a character. I want to see what you look like.
Media is really bad about that. I don't know, like when they talk about diversity and representation, they're mostly talking about Black people. They don't have good representation across the board. I don't know if it's something you've noticed, but like
I've noticed for a long time now, like ever since everybody was complaining about representation, I started looking into more how they see things and how they feel. And so I'm like, okay, but because I started doing that, I started realizing that every time when they do talk about representation, Hispanic Latinos are usually not them. Like the DC fandom, when they were talking about the Milestone universe and how they were partnering up with Ally, which apparently helps like a lot of Black people and all that stuff. And like after this big explanation, I'm like, okay. And then you go to the guy on the screen and he's like, POC is gonna be happy about this. And like, POC, it's only for you Black people that's being helped.
Right.
You think the Asians, the Indians, the Hispanic Latinos, why would we be happy about that? We're literally just thrown to the side. Maybe you meant Black people are going to be happy that other Black people are getting work, but like that's not helping us get into any part of the industry or helping us with anything. You just only mentioned Black people. So like how for how long do we have to be happy for your success and then wondering how we're going to be successful?
That's a really good point. And you know what? I was actually going to email you about it, but I'll tell you now. They did a Marvel just came out with a book. It just came out yesterday. You know how they do like
The voices for the LatinX community, yeah? That's the
yes,
one?
and it just came out yesterday, but was it Hispanic Heritage Month in November?
Apparently. Like I
So
realized in Hispanic month, Latino Hispanic month, whatever, um, it was really terrible for us this year.
yeah.
The only ones I saw celebrated was probably like streaming sites like Peacock and I think Hulu, but it was only for a few weeks and then they just stopped putting the Hispanic Latino TV shows and movies out. And I'm like, are you serious? Netflix didn't do anything at all. And I'm like, that's completely hilarious because they have a representation. They have a representation thing now on Netflix, like a
Mm-hmm.
representation section,
Oh,
and
I didn't know that.
it's mostly black owned, black filmed, uh, black movies and comedies and stuff. Not not now they're adding a lot more Asian stuff because of Asian kung fu and stuff.
Right.
But then I'll see like 2 or 3 Hispanic Latino stuff. Even though there's actually a lot on Netflix, they're not part of the representation
Oh my
area.
gosh.
And I'm like, "Wait, are you kidding me?" Bruh. Like now Asians are getting like more stuff and I'm like, "Oh, I'm super happy." And we are also getting a lot more stuff, which I'm also happy about. But it's the little stuff that some people don't notice, which is why I was extremely happy for the Suicide Squad movie by James Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
I may not like James Gunn. I did like the movie though. Uh, the entire credits from start to finish, all of them were Hispanic, Latinos, and probably Spaniards. Like I've never seen so much rep in my life, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then they're like, hey, should we leave? I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm gonna keep watching the credits till the end. And like I know there's no like what's it called? End credits like scene, but I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I want to keep seeing this. This makes me happy. And even though nobody ever talks about it, I'm like, I know about it. And that just makes me happy. And then of course we have the movie In the Heights that came out,
Oh
which
yeah.
did have some problems. Where
I
they're
haven't
like
seen it
changing
yet.
yeah, it did change from the it's based on a musical. It did change from the musical. Like he added some differences that my family and I personally didn't like. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, why would you do that? And what's it called? And then of course, like apparently, like I don't know New York, so I have to have people tell me in that area part in New York.
Right.
It's apparently it is a lot of Hispanic Latinos, but it's more of the darker skin toned ones.
Right.
So the problem was that there's two people that were arguing about the representation on there. They're arguing like there was no Afro Latino representation at all, which was false, especially since the cast, one of the cast members is Afro Latino in the main
Yeah.
lead, and then there was a lot in the
I was gonna
background.
say I thought the
Mm-hmm.
main lead was.
And then there's the second one, which is what the complaint is supposed to be about, where the entire cast is the main cast is supposed to be Afro Latino because it's mostly Afro Latino community there. And I'm like, okay, that makes more sense because saying
Yeah.
there's no Afro Latino in the background, that's just a freaking lie. I counted during the whole movie, and I'm like, shoot, there's a crap ton. Stop lying. Uh, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a, and that's a, it's still a thing. Uh, I lost my train of thought. What was I
Even if you
talking
look at
about?
like DC Comics, you know what I mean? Like there is very they're pushing for representation for sexuality, you know. They're pushing for representation. They've got new lanterns and stuff like this, but they still sideline characters like Jaime Reyes, who is a great beloved character and would be good for nope. Nope. Even when it comes to Miles Morales, they're like, this is, Black Spider-Man. Well, actually, isn't he half Hispanic also, and that's never talked about. The
Yeah.
representation, being inclusive at this point is getting a little exclusive.
Oh, I remembered my train of thought.
Oh, go ahead.
So, like, I've been seeing a lot of like news YouTube channels talking about it. For some reason, they have like one where it's one Hispanic and then there's one Black person, and I'm like, okay. For some reason, almost a lot of them were like that, and I was looking at this one, and it was this girl going off, being angry. It was a Black woman being really angry, saying, "I can't believe that Lin-Manuel did this, especially since he did Hamlet." And I'm like, well, first of all, Hamlet is a musical, not a movie.
Right.
So, like, you can cast anybody as anything, and it just doesn't really matter. But again, it's supposed to be like that anyway, because that's how it is in New York.
And Hamlet is amazing.
This was made like years ago. This was made years ago, way before Hamlet. So, like, that makes no sense, and it was also delayed in multiple times and all that stuff. So it didn't make any sense. Like, I got super angry because whenever somebody pointed out Nina, the girl who played Nina, is Latina, they got angry and said, well, she's not dark enough. I'm like, well, first of all, you Black people can do that to yourselves. You call out each other for being too light-skinned, too dark-skinned, and all that stuff. But we do not do that to our own people. If you are Afro-Latino, you are Afro-Latino or Afro-Latina, you are Afro-Latino or Afro-Latina. It doesn't matter if you're a light-skinned Afro-Latino or a dark-skinned Afro-Latina. You are Afro-Latina, no matter what. That's what the Afro there is for. Exactly. And I'm like, don't bring your problems on how you see that into ours, because we would never do that. And yes, there is a colorism issue in every single one of those things. But like, we will never tell somebody that you're not dark enough or you're too light to be considered Afro-Latina. That's just not something that we do. And I got super angry at her for that. And while the Hispanic guy was trying to keep things calm. And I'm like, thank you.
No. You know what? I did see. I have HBO Max. I'm pretty sure it's on there. I might check it out. But yeah, you're right. Even when it comes back to Arcane, there is ambiguous brown people, but they don't make anything clear unless it's a character of color or an Asian person.
Well, like the Asian person, you just look at the eyes.
Well, and he's kind of
skinned.
He's a good character. Like, I love that moment. Oh my God, I love that moment when Silco went to visit his kid.
Oh my gosh, I got so scared.
I know, I got so anxious. I'm like, leave the little kid alone. I will punch you. I will digitally punch you. Like,
there was a guy who was reading her book, and they just emphasized his putting his saliva onto the book by turning the page. And I'm like, that's so gross, bro. Germs, COVID. I'm just kidding.
It is gross, though. And then he was like, oops, knocks her things over. And he's like, accidents can happen.
and she looked at him like, "B, you gonna put that all?" Like, I did work on that, man. What the heck's wrong with you?
Kidding. And then his like lackeys were sitting on her toys.
Like, we must look threatening as much as possible.
I know, but it was a really good scene. Like, that was probably one of the better ones that like get you invested, because you're like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Like, this guy's in a really bad position. Like, that's when you just take your family up and you move. Like, just get out of town.
Unless
you're causing a lot of trouble. What's that?
Unless they find you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. That comic, I was looking over and I was like, for one, when you have Pride books or they did an Asian, I know DC did, I don't know about Marvel, Festival of the Heroes, they did one for Black History Month.
They did do one for Marvel. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing it. The DC Festival one was the one I didn't know about.
What's that?
The DC Festival for the Asians. I didn't know about that till later because everybody was hyping up the Marvel one.
The DC one was really good. They introduced Monkey Prince and stuff, but like they made sure they got it in the right month. They made sure everything. they mess up the month for Marvel. DC, as far as I know, and I go through solicits, isn't making one. And then in the very first page, they make sure to put Latinx. And I'm just like, you realize that nobody in the Hispanic community wants this. It's gendered language. Stop with that. And then the book is, and I haven't looked through all of it, so I'll be clear about that. But like, a lot of it is Spanglish, and a lot of it is just piss poor dialogue. Like, you at least put a little bit of effort into it. It's kind of embarrassing at this point that you are doing such terrible job with representation. If you truly wanted it, you'd try. You know what I mean? Like, that's where you can tell the capitalism comes in. They're writing off of the backs of BLM and the LGBTQ community because they don't care about anything else, it seems like.
Yep, they did do an Asian superhero one for Marvel Voices Identity.
Oh, okay.
It was in August.
What?
Yes, it was in August.
So they just don't get anything right.
No. I'm wondering what it is. Oh wait, did you say you read the Hispanic Latino one?
I flipped through it. I haven't read all of it. I looked at the Miles story and some of the other stuff, but I was just like, right away, you're gonna turn people off with the Latinx stuff. You are like, I seen a Philip DeFranco. I watch his news segments, and
who's that?
He's a big YouTuber. He just does news. And he talked about a survey, and it was like 4% of the Hispanic community want to be called Latinx. 4%.
Oh, that's 2% more than what I researched last time.
So maybe it went up a little bit, or maybe it's like the white people pushing it on them. Stop pushing it on people. I don't know. I just think it's disrespectful.
If a person who comes up to me and they says that they prefer to be called Latinx or Latinx or LatinX, whatever the crap it's called, I'll indulge them because I don't want to be rude. But like when I asked my non-binary friend, I'm like, so like, what do you like? Did you hear about this? And they're like, I don't know. I guess I'm Latinx. Like it was a question. Like this person like honestly doesn't care. Like I didn't know they were non-binary. She looked like a female, so I called her this entire time. And I was like, wait, you consider yourself non-binary? And they're like, yeah. And then I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me? I've been calling you she, her. And they're like, I don't know. I don't really care. I'm trying to sound as monotone as they do.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, it's clear kind of what they're, I don't know. I just think it's pretty shitty when it comes to that. But yeah.
And they made a new one.
They made a new one.
Like they're like, listen, Latinx is stupid, so we will call ourselves Latin.
What?
And I'm like, well, that kind of sounds like latrine, but it's definitely better to pronounce. And I'm even seeing a lot of people who think the whole like Latinx is stupid. They're like, yeah, sure, we'll do Latin, whatever, you know. They're more open to that. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll be more open to that. It sounds, I was even talking to Liana, and like a lot of her non-binary friends prefer to be called the Latin than the Latinx. I'm like, okay, so we're getting something there. Somewhere. But because it's new,
INE?
INE, yes.
that is a little bit better. Latinx is just no. That
exactly.
It's easier
just no.
Yeah, like X, isn't X in Spanish like pronounced X-A-E-X? I forget how it is.
No, it's pronounced in some huge different way.
I know, it's like I don't remember.
I can't even pronounce it if I try.
So it doesn't even make sense. Come on, guys, get with the program. Oh goodness. So we're gonna watch the last part of Arcane for next week, right?
Yay.
Every single time we totally get off topic, but I love it.
I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine. But yes, guys, make sure you are subscribed and hit that bell so you know when we go and have our video about the finale of Arcane. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up, Bianca?
Watch Arcane. Oh, and I'm getting my tablet.
Oh, are you getting it today?
Yes. Well, today is Thursday, just so everybody knows, but this will be like out Monday.
Yeah.
So like as soon as I get it, I'm buying so many digital comics.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Let me know. Email me. Let me know how you like it. I'm curious.
Yes.
Is it a big one? Like I never
11 inches.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
I'm going to put all my books on there. I'm going to put all my comics on there because like all that stuff is like, I don't have that much much on my phone. I only have 8 gigabytes. So I'm going to move it all to over there. Better to read. All my webtoon stuff too.
There you go. Perfect.
And, you know, like bigger screen, bigger reading, all my novels and all that stuff. And then I'll have more for video games on my phone.
Perfect. That's awesome. All right, guys. We will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.